We're
Okay, hello, welcome to a brand new edition of It's a Fringe, the Buxton Fringe broadcast channel. So we're just going to run through a little bit about how to enter the Fringe and some of the things we have to offer. So joining us today, we have Ian, who's our newly appointed Fringe Chair, and Steph, who's our marketing officer. So, Ian, so first of all, if you tell us a little bit about what is a Fringe and how the Fringe model works.
well, Buxton Festival Fringe in particular is what you call an open access fringe. We accept entries from all genres of potential performers or exhibitors, so across music, spoken word, drama, comedy, visual arts, dance, you name it, we will. We've got a slot for it. Um, we're not one of those fringes or festivals that book. We do get a number of people approaching us saying, "Please book us for your festival." That's not what we do or how we operate, and that's the way we view Fringe. It's something that's open to all performers and open to all audiences. Um, the Fringe actually takes place in July, alongside the Buxton International Festival, and we have an entries process which starts at the beginning of the previous December. So you've got loads of time to anticipate and get your entries in, and runs through to sometime in April. And I'm going to ask Steph to mention that what those specific dates are, because that affects how much you pay as an entry. We're trying to encourage you to get in early, so it's cheaper if you get in early. So, Steph.
And and as a
Yeah,
fringe, it is very good value, or we'll add that like. But Steph, if you can go through that like.
yeah, it's really good value, especially because we've managed to keep the entry fees the same for the third year running. So if you get your entry in before the end of February, it's just £55 to enter. If you get it in before the end of March, it's £77. And then after that, it's £88. Now, there is a deadline of the 20th of April. And that deadline is to make sure you're in the printed program. It is possible to enter after that, but it causes all sorts of mayhem for us, and it means that you're not getting the publicity that you're really entitled to, because being in the printed program is a very good thing to be. So it's really worth getting it in for the
Help you
20th of
remember that.
April.
I
Yeah.
think that's the weekend. So there you go.
Yes, it's Easter. It's Easter Sunday, but yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's all good. It's
Okay.
easier when you've got some chocolate in hand, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always easy with chocolate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Right. Um. So if you wanted to enter the fringe, how would you go about that? Does somebody want to pick that up, Steph or Ian, up the
I-
website?
I've got I've got
Go
my little crib sheet here on how you do that, and I'm speaking here as a former entries coordinator. So I used to do the other side of the fringe and see the entries as they came in. But I've also been an entrant. I've sung and played at the fringe. So I've been through the entries process myself from the other side. So I've got an idea of some of the tips and tricks. The entries process is all online. You go to buxtonfringe.org.uk, and there's a big button there that says take part. And if you click on that, there is a lot of information that tells you almost everything conceivable about how to enter. It takes you through the process. Just take it slowly, take it steadily. If you're new to it, take your time. You will find the answer to almost every question that you might have about how to enter in that section, or in the sections that are linked from there. Um, have a good look through it. Not least, look at the venues page. There's a link to a venues page which has a list of all our venues, descriptions of them. You can see where they are in town, where how kind of close to the centre of things they might or might not be. You can see what their capacities are. You've got all the contact details to get in touch with them, because you will need to find your own venue. We don't, unlike one or two fringes who you apply to use one of their venues, and they will often select people because they may well be oversubscribed. You've got a lot of venues in Buxton that you can use, and they're very varied. So but you do need to find that venue. You can start your entry when you like. You can start putting information in and saving it, but you will need to register and get yourself a login. That's linked from that page as well. So all the information you need is from that page. When you've got yourself all of your information together, you can start entering your information and save it. There's a save button on every page of that. And if you do that, the next time you come back, what you've already put in will still be there. So you won't need to retype anything. In particular, I'm quite, as somebody who's done it before, you get a 50-word description of your entry, which is quite important. Take some time, write that on your own computer. Don't sit on the web writing it, trying to think it up. Take your time when you're not logged into the Fringe site and write it. You can copy it in when you log in. You will need to think about a lot of things that maybe haven't occurred to you because you've done performances at somebody else's venue, and these are the things they might normally do. So you will need to consider what you do about public liability insurance. Gather, for example, for the musicians union membership has some. There are a lot of very reputable and large and well-known insurers who will provide that. For limited numbers of performances as well as for the an entire year's work. You need to arrange any rights or copyright access. Again, for musicians, that's PPL, PRS, search for those guys. You'll need to give some thought to what you want to do about ticketing. You'll need to consider how much you think what's right to pitch your prices at for adults, for concessions, and for children, and whether you want to have those categories. You'll need to consider whether you should put an age limit on your entry or any content advisory. You know, if particularly you've got something that you think's a little bit contentious or requires an adult audience, that's the place to put those sort of entries. If we go back to ticketing, the default that goes into the system is on the door, that somebody can come along to your performance at the time and date and venue and pay on the door. We do have, you can put in links to your own ticketing systems, whether you want to use, I'll pick out a couple. Ticket Source, We Got Tickets. There are dozens of those sorts of websites where you can sell your own tickets. We offer the opportunity to sell some of your tickets through Buxton Opera House, and the details are on a separate page linked from that page. You can allocate some or even all of the tickets that you're going to have available, and the cost of that is a £10 one-off fee plus 7.5% of the value of your tickets going to the Opera House. Just to go through a few really practical entry tips. Keep saving as you go. I can't say this often enough. The number of people who my entries disappeared. Just keep saving as you go. Pictures. Get as many pictures of yourself as you can, and find one that you're going to be happy with, because we'll need you to enter one picture to the required technical requirements, because that is then used on the web, the app, and in the print program, which we'll come to in a minute. You get to enter your pictures after you've submitted your entry, after you've made your actual payment. Your entry will be checked through so that what you've put in various places fits our house style. Particular example will be with your description. Put in your description any reviews that you've got, any complimentary reviews that you've got. Quote them. We'll edit them into a house style so that we've got the quotes in the right place and the source for it and all that sort of thing. So don't be surprised if what you put in transmogrifies into something slightly different later. Because it does go on the web, into the app, and into the print program. It goes on the web and the app as soon as we've accepted the entry after that light edit. So it'll be within days of you submitting it. It will be out there being publicised. Which brings me back to Steph to say, what is it we get as entrants for our £55?
Well, mainly we've got your backs. We're a friendly fringe and we're there to help. And it means you're just not doing this all on your own, but you're part of a big family in coming into the fringe. And we publicize the fringe as a whole, which has kind of more impact than just your one-off show. So we, as a fringe, we get loads of publicity. Recently, Buxton's being mentioned all over the place in national press as being the place to live, and these articles are mentioning the festival, and they're also mentioning the fringe because we've got quite big and we're quite significant. But we'll give you a lot of publicity for your individual events by things like social media, and we give you loads of tips on how to write a press release, and we sometimes we'll put your press releases in. We'll sort of edit them into a blog. We're quite creative in what we do to help publicize you. Plus we have events like Fringe Sunday and well, there's the launch party on the night before the Fringe, generally speaking, and there's also something called Springboard that we have in sort of springtime where people can come and do a little extract from their show. So we're always looking for creative ways to help you publicize your event and make it really get the attention it deserves.
The Fringe desk, obviously, it runs. We have a information desk that runs throughout the Fringe, where you can leave your flyers and posters, and the staff there who can give advice on shows and even directions and just general information, which works really well. And we encourage performers to call in there, maybe chat to the staff and give them a bit more information about the shows. It always goes down well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes,
that's a good point, Rob. I mean, the other thing is the take part section's also got information or links to information about things like posters, flyers, gives you advice on numbers, what we require so we can publicize your show at the Fringe desk. But it's also got links through to the possibility of doing work with community groups while you're here. So have a look at all those sorts of opportunities as well. So there's lots of other ways that you can add to the profile of your performances or shows. I know it's a bit more difficult if you're maybe flying in for a period to do a show, to do some of that sort of stuff, but it's probably worth giving it a thought in your busy schedules.
Then people can send posters ahead, can't they, if they're not going to be here, so they can go on the Fringe desk early.
They can do that, and the earlier you enter, the more support you get from us. If you enter really late, then you've missed some of my words of wisdom that I send you in emails and things like that. And after the end of the first deadline, I'll be writing a press release, and I'll be actually mentioning some of the shows that have entered. But if you haven't entered, I can't mention you. So it's really worth getting in there.
Yeah.
But plus we've got social media channels as well, which we'll put stuff out online. If you tag us in posts, we'll share those. So all those things are available for you.
Yeah, all on the website www.buxtonfringe.org.uk. Get there, look at the take part section, and get your entries in.
Yeah, buxtonfringe.org.uk. It's called In a Nutshell. Tells you most things. It's not overlong really, but it tells you how to enter. I think Ian's advice about making notes before you go on and stuff, rather than just it can be a bit daunting. But if you've made notes about what your show is and kind of what you want to put in first before you then type it all in, it's not a bad idea.
You can get in touch with the entries coordinator, which is not me at the minute,
Lovely person called Pam.
Lovely Pam, and you can email at entries@buxtonfringe.org.uk, but you will quite likely get a reply that says, as it says here on the website, this is what you do. There is a lot of information on the website, and I rarely found an email needed anything other than a reference to the right bit on the website. So get your entries in.
Yeah, and when we go through your entries, we're putting them in our Fringe style, but we're also trying to see whether are you making the most of yourselves. I mean, I've had a brief look this morning. We've got about 24 entries already, which is fantastic. And there's at least one of them that doesn't actually say who the performer is, so that's a little detail that we're probably going to fix, So, we just want to make it that you're going to get people,
Yeah. Our reason for being here is to help you get your show out and help the audience get to see you. Yeah. So that's what we're about.
So, sort of finally, if we wrap this up, so what makes Buxton Fringe a good fringe to enter? What makes it a bit more? And one thing is, it's probably a middle-aged fringe. Like, it's not quite as old as Edinburgh, but it's getting there. We're 40 years going, 40 years plus going. So we're a well-established fringe and a nice, beautiful spa town of Buxton. Like, but Ian, you've entered the fringe. Like, you're part of the fringe committee. What makes it a nice fringe to enter and a supportive fringe?
Think of you've got a great variety of venues. You get audiences that really are interested in what you're doing. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there. They're there to support you. Our audiences like our performers, and they're very encouraging, and they do come along. We tend to get pretty good turnouts compared with some of the other fringes who may or may not be better known than we are.
Yeah. Do you want to add anything to that, Steph?
Yeah, I just think we're on a very human scale. I mean, we have been lying to Edinburgh, and we are on that sort of trail that people often test out their shows and then go up to Edinburgh. But it's a similar model to Edinburgh, but we're so much smaller, which is actually quite a nice thing for a performer, because you're not going to struggle so much to get an audience, and everyone's very friendly, and the community is really behind the fringe, and it's so lovely that we have people from a community school who help out at the desk, and they grow up and they end up running Buxton, as I've been finding recently, and it's lovely. The whole community is willing you on to do well, so it's lovely.
I mean, that point you make, Steph, it does fit in well with the festival calendar, like where obviously the festival season's starting now with sort of Leicester Comedy start next week, and then obviously Brighton in May, then us in July, and then coming right after us in August is Edinburgh. So if you've got a show that's maybe touring around all these festivals, it fits in well with the calendar. Like for if you go there, like to road test or even like play at another fringe, like before you go up there.
Yeah, definitely.
Right,
and it's a beautiful place. It's a lovely place to come for a walk as well.
Finally, does somebody want to say we've got an accommodation list? So there's a lot now about Edinburgh being very expensive. People are paying like 4 or 5 grand just to stay up there. That's without the venue costs. Whereas we do have an accommodation list where you can get digs, and you pay, is it £10 or something like, or
well, what happens is the minute you enter, you'll get an acknowledgement email, and on that is attached to that is the accommodation list, and people have different are offering accommodation for different rates, but they tend to be very favourable, friendly kind of rates. So that's really nice. It's a bit of advice you're getting there.
Yeah. So if you're thinking you can't go to Edinburgh, you can afford to come to Buxton. So.
Yeah. All sorts of extra information linked from the Take Part page.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, anybody want to add anything else before we wrap up? buxtonfringe.org.uk.
Yeah.
Look at the website, at Buxton Fringe on Facebook, at Buxton Festival Fringe, on Facebook, at Buxton Fringe on LinkedIn and Insta.
And Blue Sky.
And X and Blue Sky. We're out there. If you like this video, please give us a like, give us a follow, make a comment, or if you see it on social media, make a comment, like just please keep in touch, and we'll hopefully see more of you in July. Just, Steph, what are the dates?
Oh, the dates from 9th to the 27th of July.
9th to the 27th of July, and we'll see you in sunny Buxton.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bye.
Right.